I'm Merrily McGugan. We're not going to talk about me today, and we're not going to talk about my company. We're going to talk about best practices that you can take back to your own companies. And I wanted to start with a story. You all know this company, Ford, right? The Ford Motor Company. Well, back in 1907, people were working on the assembly line at Ford, and they had a lot of trouble getting people to stay. The attrition rate of the Ford Motor Company was 700%. 700%. If any chief people officers are here, if you had that, probably be out. But Henry Ford had an idea. And so he put into place a years of service award to reward people for staying on the assembly line for a year, for 2 years, etc. And this was actually the first ever years of service employee recognition program. And you might think, we've modernized since then. Well, it's been about 120 years, and unfortunately not much has changed. Some companies are still using years of service as their only format of employee recognition and rewards. And that's a problem. Because, a little reality check here, 94% of organizations have an employee recognition rewards programs, right? Probably all of you. But only about a third of those are effective. And so if you're investing a lot in your recognition programs already and you're thinking yep, checking that box, chances are they're not actually that effective. And you might wonder why there's a grumpy cat up here, right? Well, when you type in "who cares" into Google, this is what shows up. And forget ChatGPT, all this AI buzz, right? Typing that in, getting this is amazing. But also, this is my cat, and I realize they are sharing a lot of the same facial characteristics. The pumpkin could be the next internet cat. So if this doesn't work out, you'll see me on the interwebs hawking my cat on Instagram. But here's why you should care, right? 79% of employees leave their job due to feeling a lack of appreciation at work. 79%, right? People leave because they don't have a good manager, yes, but they don't feel recognized and they don't feel rewarded. And that's a big problem. So here's why you should care. Retention problems, right? Recognition directly contributes to people staying. Employees who aren't recognized are going to leave. Productivity. 90% of employees say that recognition motivates them to work harder. And of course, engagement, right? A lot of us have employee engagement surveys. It's important. So yes, there are HR metrics, right? But also business metrics, profitability. Companies that excel at employee recognition are 12 times more likely to generate strong business results than their peers who are not doing it. But let's go back to the engagement factor, right? So here are some employees, highly engaged. Working in sync, working as a team, appropriately dressed for the occasion, displaying agility, right? Scrum master, focused, eyes on the prize. And here are some not so engaged employees. Disengaged, that attitude, it's probably not what you want in the workplace. Somebody's literally falling asleep on their desk chair, not a good look. I don't even know what's going on there. Pumpkin, man, I gotta let you nap more. 20 hours isn't cutting it a day. So back to the story of Ford, right? How do you create that engagement? How do you get focused employees who are motivated and trying to do a great job? Well, best practice number 1, you create a culture of recognition, not a single event. Henry Ford was an innovator, but he got it wrong. Recognizing people for just staying on the assembly line, right, doesn't cut it in the modern workplace. So you need to create a continuous culture of recognition and rewards. And employees don't work in years. This is a US Bureau of Labor Statistics stat from 2022. This is the average employee tenure these days. Now, if your recognition program is focused on 1 year, 3 years, 5 years of service, your employees are gonna be gone before they get their 5-year service award. So this is why companies have to modernize. And there are different ways you can do this. The evolution of employee recognition and rewards programs have gone from the milestones that Henry Ford pioneered to more rhythm-based. Top-down recognition, sure, but also quarterly nominations, awards, different types of recognitions nominated by your peers. And always-on recognition has become where it's at. You can amplify your corporate values, reward great behaviors displayed, and when I say reward, you don't need to have monetary rewards attached. Also, peer-to-peer recognition has become more important than ever. In fact, it's where it's at. Because when you think about it, many of your managers aren't on the front lines every day seeing all of the great work that's happening. So peers are authentically there, recognizing each other for great work, and they know what's up. Peer-to-peer recognition is where it's at. Best practice number 2. Companies are decoupling recognitions and rewards. And what do I mean by that? Well, recognitions address the intrinsic motivations of people. We saw, right? People quit if they're not recognized. They need recognition. But rewards address the extrinsic motivation of employees. And both are great, right? In fact, they're 1.3 times more powerful together, but you can have them separately. In today's hybrid and remote environment, people are in need of connection. This is what most of our lives look like these days. For me, swap out the dog with a couple of cats, but people are on Zoom. And so recognition is a one-to-one way to build connections in a virtual world. If you don't get recognized, if you don't have a connection with your employees, you will probably be sad and lonely at home in your quarantine bunker. Now, the third best practice is enabling recognition in the flow of daily work. So we've talked about how it's important, but a lot of people don't want to log into yet another platform. And so enabling recognitions using Teams, Slack, having something where it integrates right into the systems that employees are already using is immensely valuable. Anything that makes it easier, right, removes barriers from recognition, that's the best thing that you can do. And modern technology has made this possible. You used to be able to, write an email and it got to everybody or put a sign up in the office, but things have changed. Even if you don't have modern technology, you can still make this work. So this is an example of one of our company Zoom meetings. It was Skin Cancer Prevention Month, so we're all wearing wide-brimmed hats, as you do, indoors. And we showed this recognition. So it's a screenshot from our platform. We just threw it up on the screen, no tech involved, really. And it was from Emily to Alicia. And the whole company got to read this great recognition. People high-fived it. And suddenly this, person-to-person, one-to-one recognition was amplified throughout the whole company. Even without a platform, it was that straightforward. That's practice number 4, is the fact that if you are giving rewards and recognition on your timeline and your choices of rewards, they probably won't be as meaningful to the employee as if they could redeem them and pick what they wanted themselves. These are 4 examples of real rewards that employees at WorkTango redeemed in our platform. Somebody got a date to Uchi, just down the road here in Austin. Somebody got this, I think it's a Fitbit or something. Somebody got furniture pieces and items for their bathroom. They renovated their bathroom with rewards points. And somebody redeemed their points for a ticket to visit their brother. So all of these employees earned points through recognitions, right? Their colleagues recognized them for amazing work. And then they hoarded up the points and then got items on their timeline that were meaningful and important to them. Maybe somebody didn't have a date on their 1-year anniversary, so they just waited. And then when it was the right time for them, they got this gift card to Uchi. So it's important to have the timeline that works for your employees. If you don't, you can make what should be a big celebration a really awkward experience. And we're seeing more and more companies use points-based systems to make this easier and less manual work. Because the reality is, most organizations don't know how much they're spending on ad hoc rewards across the organization. I mean, Joe in finance is doing something, and then Tori in HR. It's really difficult to keep track of all the different years of service programs and perks and gift cards, right? So what we're seeing organizations do is consolidate an annual budget into a slew of points. They can bring all the programs together and make it into points and divvy them up to the employees once a quarter. And we've seen companies that we work with save 20 to 30% on their rewards budget due to this. The fifth best practice that I want to talk about today is the importance of active executive leadership and manager participation. This can't be understated. These recognition and rewards programs are not an HR initiative. It's for building culture and engaging folks and building connection between the whole organization. And if your executives don't participate, your program is going to fail. We looked at our own data, almost 1 million WorkTango users, and we found something astonishing. When managers were not engaged in the platform, when they didn't log in, they didn't give recognitions, 91% of their direct reports were inactive or very rarely active. The managers set the tone. And so if you're worried about, oh, our executives won't have time, does the CEO really need to be in there? Yes. If you want your program to succeed, it has to start at the top. Don't underestimate the impact of recognition, because what gets recognized gets repeated. If your executives are recognizing an employee who's gone above and beyond, others will follow in their employees' footsteps. What gets recognized gets repeated. And to have a successful program, I know I was speaking to a couple of you earlier about this, the managers and executives have to be involved because it starts at the top. Okay, number 6, publicize and amplify recognitions. We already talked about how recognition is oftentimes a one-to-one, acknowledgement, kudos for great work, but you can actually do a lot more with those recognitions. Somebody's taken the time, and you can amplify their effect by publicizing the recognitions across the company. Here's another recognition. Rob recognized Milan and Stacy. And they gave a great presentation, maybe 7 people were in that presentation. He posted this in our platform, and then 6 other employees gave it a high five. Our CEO, Patrick Manzo, also chimed in with a comment and said, great work, thank you. So suddenly this one manager to 2 employee recognition was seen by the whole company. And it ended up being, 9 different people commenting, adding kudos. It was amazing. I love seeing this. But not every industry has employees at desks. So this is a real example of the Boston Beer Company, one of our customers. In their brewery tap room, they have these screens, and they put their employee recognitions up on the screen. Because even if you're in manufacturing or retail or the field, you still want to get recognized. So they have actual screens that show these really nice recognitions, and that's a way that they can publicize and amplify the recognitions. Now, the 7th best practice is the need for a holistic recognition and rewards strategy. And this is really, really important. There are 3 key components of a successful R&R strategy. Recognition, which we talked about, rewarding the milestones, yes, but also recognizing and rewarding key behaviors that align with corporate values. Rewards, you don't have to have rewards, but remember, I said there's a 1.3x multiplier in terms of effectiveness when you have recognition and rewards together. So rewards need to be meaningful. They need to have lots of choices so employees can pick, and they have to be on demand. You have to be able to shift the timing to work for the employee. That's how rewards will be the most meaningful. And also, you should consider incentives. And incentives are often forgotten about. You can incentivize delivering, top performance. You can incentivize certain things, participation in programs. And here are some examples of some incentives, real incentives, that we have at WorkTango. So we incentivize 3 buckets of employee actions. We do programs, so asking people to participate in employee engagement surveys, different types of activities. We do professional development and different kinds of personal incentives, asking people to move, get healthy, go for a walk, and you get points for these activities. And we also incentivize performance. If you're doing a great job, if you're delivering big goals, right, you can redeem for points. Some of our customers decided that certain things were really important to them. So improving customer service scores, right? They incentivized employees with points. Every time the score went up, they got some points. Participating in safety initiatives, trainings, improving the safety score, doing employee wellness programs, or finishing compliance, anti-harassment training, security training, right? One of our customers got 70% of the employees in the first couple days, and then 99% of employees did the very long trainings by the end of week 2. Unheard of. So I ask you, right, consider this framework. With your organization today, which side of the slide are you on? Are you on the red side or are you on the green side? And be honest with yourselves. Are you doing recognitions once a year? Are you doing a big, okay, it's time to do the recognitions, like let's send out a company-wide email? Are you recognizing for years of service, making a big deal about that 5-year mark? If so, we talked about how employees might not be making it to that. Are you doing it manually? Are you using an HR admin to send out gift cards, trying to get addresses? If so, you might be wasting a lot of time. And are you doing it top down where the leaders, it's almost a popularity contest. They just pick, oh, okay, these employees are doing a good job, right? What about the engineers? What about the people who aren't as visible? Maybe they're doing amazing work and leadership just isn't aware of it. Or are you doing some of these modern recognition best practices at your org already? Always on recognition, right? We talked about how employees work in days, weeks, months, not years. They want to get recognized every week. They don't want to wait for once a year annual performance review. Are you building recognitions into the rhythm of your organization? I showed that Zoom meeting where we're all wearing the hats, right? That happens twice a week, and we throw a recognition onto the screen and all just look at it and celebrate it for, 30 seconds. But it's built in every week. We're gonna see 2 different ones. People are excited, like maybe it'll be my turn, Are you recognizing certain behaviors and performance? Not just recognizing somebody sitting in their seat for 5 years. Like what if they're actually not even that good an employee? Are you using technology to build recognitions into the flow of daily work? Can you recognize somebody in Slack and have the whole company see it, right? If you're spending all your time in Teams, can you just see the company recognitions right there in the flow of work without having to log into a completely different platform, another login? I contact IT all the time. I've lost my login. And are you offering choices? Because again, the timing and flexibility and choice really matters when it comes to a reward. Are you consolidating all those expenses across the org into one program? Maybe points, maybe something else, but are you really fully aware of your budget and what you're spending across the org? And then finally, are you measuring this? Are you monitoring engagement? You can tell a lot about somebody's engagement and if they're hooked up with the company culture, if they're actually recognizing and rewarding their teammates. If they're never recognizing anyone, if they're not logging in, they're probably disengaged. And we all saw the photos of those disengaged employees earlier. So if you manage to make it through all of these 7 best practices, you've probably forgotten at least one by now. So I'll recap, right? And everybody can do these. Whether you have a platform like WorkTango's or not, surely there's something off this list that you can implement as soon as tomorrow at your company. Are you creating a culture of recognition versus a single annual event? Are you decoupling rewards and recognition? Because recognition is free. It can happen every day. But I'd love to work for an org where they can just give out rewards every day. Like, sign me up. Most people don't have the budget. Are you enabling recognition in the daily flow of work where people are working? If you're in Slack all day, which I am, right? Why would I want to go into my email and look for an email from the CEO recognizing 2 employees a year? It's not going to happen. I'd rather get real-time recognitions in Slack. Are you offering meaningful rewards with choices? Flexible timing that fits the circumstances of the employee versus your checkbox, annual milestone. And this one is a big one, are you getting your executives fully bought in and your people managers from all departments? As we saw, right, the data showed if the manager's not engaged, direct reports literally won't do it. They won't be engaged because, their manager is setting an example. Are you publicizing and amplifying the recognitions that you do have, whether it's through tech or just manual, but you can build it into your company culture. Show them at meetings, display them on big screens if you're in the field. And are you standing up a holistic recognition reward strategy? If you can do at least a few of these, you're on your way to modernizing your recognition reward strategy. And if you can do them all, well, you're probably on the green side of the slide and have no need to come over. But if you maybe are more on the red slide, you might want to take another look at modernizing your approach. And I know we're about to head to the break. We will be there, WorkTango. Come over, say hello. You can sign up for my cat's Instagram. They have 1,600 followers. And you can learn a little bit more about our platform. So that's it, everyone. Thank you. Hopefully you learned something.